All right, back in the basement again today. It's Wednesday, September 13th, and tomorrow on Thursday, I fly out to Memphis, Tennessee to get ready to compete at USAPL Raw Nationals. I'm really excited about this meet, and one of the things I haven't done in a long time is just kind of take you through what's in my meet kit, bag, if you will. You know, I can't do gym bag tours anymore because I train at home, don't need a gym bag, but in this case, I am traveling to a meet, so I'm gonna show you some of the essentials. Just gonna talk through why I pick what I pick. Now, oftentimes with someone like me, who goes through a bunch of equipment, whether it be personal equipment from sleeves to belts to wraps to even like barbells and stuff, it's hard to really get a feel for what I truly like when it really comes down to the nitty gritty. So in this case, I can't bring everything. So this, in my opinion, is the best of the best based off of my own personal preferences. Now, in this bag I'm bringing, it's a duffel bag from Pioneer. They're nice enough to send this to me a couple of years ago. It has my last name on it, so if you steal it at Raw Nationals, you know whose bag you're stealing. If you're up there, by the way, make sure you come and say hi. But what I wanted to do is just take kind of through what my personal equipment of choice is. So because I just mentioned Pioneer, I'll start with the knee sleeves. I am using the Pioneer knee sleeves. These things came out like a week or two ago. I've had them for a couple of months. I went through the prototyping process with them. Based off of all these stiff sleeves, which these are my favorite, namely because of the shape of them, which is a traditional taper. Done videos on that, check it out if you haven't seen them already. But also the density of these seems to be the best. Previously, I liked the Cerberus knee sleeves a lot. These Pioneer ones, in my opinion, are better. They're more dense, they fit my legs great. And the price point on these is really, really good. So these retail for $75 and I think $15 shipped within the United States. So like $90 for these sleeves is actually priced more comparatively to what I will call these soft sleeves. So for 90 bucks, not only are these a good deal, but these are fantastic knee sleeves and what I will be wearing at Raw Nationals. Now let's move on just a little bit here. What else do I have? Another common question I get is the shoes I'm going to wear. I've worn heeled shoes in the past, barefoot shoes, slippers. I'm going to be rocking the Tolos shoes that I've done reviews on, the black and white pair in this case. These are considered barefoot minimalist shoes. I really like them. Number one, they look nice, so I'm actually bringing a second pair just to wear around the venue. But also I just really like the way they feel, that they're minimal, they have a wide toe box, and they grip the floor extremely well, which can be tough on some of these competitions because they use carpet, and especially if you're doing a multiple day session like Raw Nationals where there could be like chalk on the platform or other bodily fluids. You need all the grip you can get, and for me, the Tolos not only kind of match what I'm going for in terms of aesthetics, but also fit and feel. They're really top notch, and definitely suggest checking them out if you're interested. Let's get into other stuff. I talked about the color scheme a lot. One of the big questions everyone's gonna be asking me is, Brandon, what singlet are you wearing? Now, it's interesting that I'm choosing this one, and I'll show it to you first before talking about it a little bit more. I will be using the SBD singlet, and I think this is part of the Eclipse line, I wanna say. It's the black and white version, the color scheme. Now, the reason why I think this is very interesting is because if you take a look at my singlet video from a few years ago, the earlier gen SBD sleeves were probably my least favorite because I felt that they were too comfortable, they weren't very supportive. These newer ones are really heavy duty. They're still not as like rigid as something like the Titan, but they feel really good, but they also offer you some coverage for your bits and pieces, if you will, and plus I really like the color scheme. The downside of these, in my opinion, is just the good colors kind of sell out quick, so you're kind of relegated to the red and black in most cases, or the colors that aren't very popular, and these tend to be a little bit more expensive, but I really do like these newer ones, and I want to give a big shout out to David Wilson, who hooked me up, because I did not buy this when this first released. I had really trouble finding it, and David Wilson hooked me up, and he's an SBD sponsored athlete. He'll also be competing at USAPL Raw Nationals on Sunday in the primetime session, so best of luck, dude. Thank you again. Now, with the undershirt that I'm wearing, going really minimal in this case. This is something that my friends over at A7 sent me. That's not one of the ones that actually have a grip on the back because those are not allowed. But the reason I like this shirt for competing is, first of all, the look, really minimal. The material, a little bit of a stretch to it so I can size down a little bit and still somewhat look like I lift, but it's also a thicker material. So oftentimes with some of the stuff that's a little bit more stretchy, it's really thin or not really like a cotton type of material, which will probably get turned away at a national level competition. Some local meets, if people aren't on top of it, they might accept some other materials, but it's supposed to be like more of a cottony material. This fits it. It feels really comfortable, and it's a little bit thicker, which I like for things like squats. And again, I like what the team over at A7 does, so I will be rocking this. I also think they're a sponsor of USAPL Raw Nationals, so I should be getting a shirt from them because you get that when you sign up for the entry fee. But that's the shirt that I'm choosing to wear. It's just black and gray. The shirts tend to be a little bit more expensive, but again, they're super comfortable and some of my favorite shirts to actually compete and or lift in. Now, let's go straight to the moneymaker, if you will. That is what underwear I'm wearing. Now, I laugh at this because these things are freaking huge, huh? Let me talk a little bit about underwear first. So a lot of people, especially if it's your first meet, this is one of the gotcha items where you don't understand that you can't just wear any normal underwear. There are rules around your personal items, and briefs are one of them. So the rules are a little bit better than they used to. You used to have to wear tighty whities and everyone would kind of laugh and say, yeah, right. And then they show up to a meet and understand that they didn't have the right underwear. And I've been with people who've had to run to a Walmart or something like that as part of equipment checks and have to buy new underwear specifically for a meet. The rules have been laxed a little bit, but typically when I train, like right now, luckily for you, the camera is not showing you my lower extremities. I like to train in what I would consider like an Under Armour type boxer brief. So like a stretchy type material, it's more athletic fit. Those are not allowed in competition. You can get away with some other stuff like cotton materials, but I don't like to train in that in my normal cotton boxer briefs, which is my normal underwear of choice in case you were wondering. But for meets particularly, I like these. I got them off of Amazon. I don't think this brand exists anymore. And luckily I don't compete super often, maybe 2 or 3 times a year tops, where these are in still good shape. But these are basically, I'm gonna call them manties. So they're man panties. So they're a little bit wider in the bottom. And the reason I like these for that is when you're doing things like squat, traditional briefs for me tend to ride up a little bit, and that's not comfortable. I don't want that. And these fit really well for what they are. They're also mostly nylon in this case, so still it's more of that athletic fit, if you will, and they're black. So if you're having a rough day on squats and maybe you had too much pre-workout or other stuff pre-training, and if you've ever been in a meet bathroom, you know what I'm talking about. These things will kind of keep you covered both front and back, if you know what I mean. So I like to wear these for that. They're not very fashionable, but again, they're more comfortable, and it's not something I have to worry about when lifting, of picking a wedgie or adjusting my stuff in front, especially if you're in a meet and have chalk on your hands and you know when people are adjusting themselves. So that is my underwear of choice. For socks, I'm just bringing these Adidas soccer socks. I like them because they fit the color profile that I'm going for. They match in well. They're high enough. They're very light. They're moisture wicking. They're not too heavy. I like them a lot. I'll wear these for deadlifts. You have to wear socks that are about knee height for deadlift. These fit the bill perfectly, match what I'm going for, and they're comfortable. So it's good to go in that regard. Now, something that I've been doing different as of late is for like squat and bench. I would wear high socks the whole time just because it would be easier to get knee sleeves on and off. I'm going to be going basically low to no profile socks for those other 2 lifts, just because they'll probably fit and look a little bit better with the shoes that I'm wearing. And that's just how I've been training. I haven't been training in high socks like I used to a couple years ago. So I'm trying to keep a lot of the stuff that I do as consistent as possible. Speaking of as consistent as possible, the wrist wraps, I'm talking about them right now. These are Pioneer Phantom wraps. I've been wearing these for probably 5 or 6 years now. Not this specific pair, although this one does have the "Bar Don't Lie" slogan embroidered on it, which I like a lot because it's a visual cue as I'm lifting and getting ready to do a lift, you know, to really kind of focus where I need to be. I like these a lot. I like a lot of the things Pioneer does. You'll see a couple other Pioneer items in here, and obviously the Pioneer bag. These things for me, initially when I first got them, were a little bit stiff, but they break in nice after a couple of weeks. Again, highly recommend all things Pioneer. Obviously the knee sleeves, the wrist wraps, and 1 or 2 other items in here. Let's talk about it right off the bat with the belt. I said 1 or 2 other items, but the other things aren't really lifting specific, so to say, but I'll be bringing a 13 millimeter Pioneer adjustable lever belt. This one is the white leather front, black suede inside. It's more minimal, right? Typically on all my other belts that are black, it says "Bar Don't Lie" or something like that. This one just has a smaller logo on the back. I'll probably get some B-roll of it. "Bar Don't Lie" on the belt buckle. Again, those visual cues. And speaking of visual cues, probably one of my favorite is the "There is no tomorrow" slogan on the inside. My boy, Apollo Creed. Got to seize the day. Got to make things count. One of the things I like about this belt that I don't think I've mentioned in other belt videos that I've done on this or the other Pioneer ones I have, it actually has a little bit of a taper to the front belt area. So that way when it's overlapping, you get a little bit better fit. I've been liking that a lot. And I have a lot of belt videos on this channel. So if you want to know more about it, you can either ask me in the comment section below or just take a look at some of my other videos. Next, let's go with this. I'm bringing some liquid chalk. So I don't use chalk a bunch in training. In fact, I hardly ever use chalk. But I've been trying to work it in for some of my top deadlift sets because in a meet situation, I've always used chalk at meets. And again, I'm trying to make these things as consistent as possible. So this is some Black Widow spider chalk. They were nice enough to send me a bunch of this back in the day. You only need a little dab of this, like a dime size, and this lasts forever. So this bottle is still mostly full. And even though they often provide chalk at meets, by the time I get to lifting, it's all broken up, or it's just not very consistent, or sometimes the bowl is a little bit dicey. This just makes it easier. And again, this is what I've been using for training the last couple of weeks. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring it. So thanks to Spider Chalk for that. Next, moving on, I'm bringing a pair of headphones. Now this, just talked about consistency, and this is something that I don't normally do, is I don't normally wear headphones in this style. So these are some Beats Studio, if I can pull them out. And the reason I got these is, number one, I really like listening to music as I train, as I warm up. The last couple of meets where I've been handling myself, as dirty as that sounds, it's been tough for me to listen to music because the environment's really loud. I'm trying to pay attention to when I'm up, warm up appropriately, and music just has kind of fallen off to the wayside, which again, keeping things consistent is a little bit bad for me because music helps get me kind of in the mood, if you will, to lift. So one of the things I want to do for this time, which I will be having a handler at for the first time in a long time, in fact, the second handler I've ever had in my history of meets, which is like a dozen meets by now. This just is easier than like a pair of earbuds or something like that. I do have some inserts on here on the ear cups just so they prevent from sweat and other gross stuff. So keep these nice and clean in case I ever want to resell them or whatever the case may be, just not ruin these necessarily. But this will let me listen to some music. And then again, my handler can just take them off when I'm ready to go and not have to worry about fumbling around with my earbuds or anything like that, or a wired device, which again, I have put my phone with a wired headphone set in my belt before while lifting. Not ideal, but this is just something that's going to help me hopefully get in the right mindset. Last but not least, the thing I want to talk about is pre-workout. I do pack a pre-workout because I take one before I train. In this case, I've been using Materia by PR Breaker a lot. You guys know I love Citadel Nutrition. I've liked them for a long time. They've had supply chain issues where they're in and out of stock, and PR Breaker is really similar in terms of a great profile, very transparent profile, and the flavors are really, really good. This is a blue raz. I alternate between this, cotton candy, and probably my favorite, which is the grape candy. But this is a really good profile made by a lifter, really clean, tested. I know it's safe, not gonna pop me for anything. So I will be bringing this as well. And that's going to be the main encompassing facts and items in my bag. Over the course of the couple of days I'm in Memphis competing, this bag will also include other food type items, which I may or may not be able to make a video on, but as I'm traveling there from Rhode Island where I live, I'm not gonna be packing things like Gatorade or pre-workout snacks, which I typically do, but maybe I can make another video on that if you're interested. Let me know in the comment section below. If you have any other questions or comments, that's a good place to get to me there as well. But in the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.